Hey, anticipated new show on NBC that debuted last night called This Is Us. This, of course, was the series premiere, and obviously I was very much looking forward to this show, not just because of the hype, but because in general it looked like a really great show. I was really looking forward to see the show was going to be like. It looked like this was going to be a really big hit for NBC, and like I said, NBC, as of late, they haven't been making really big hit shows, but it really seemed like they were trying to promote this one. I mean, anything you would watch on NBC, every 5 seconds there'd be a promo for This Is Us. That's how confident they were in this show, and I was really hoping this would be great, and wow, what a great premiere. I have to say, not only was this premiere great, this is probably one of the best pilots I've seen for a network television show in a long time. And when I mean network television, I'm not talking about like HBO, Showtime, I'm talking about like ABC, Fox, NBC. This is one of the best pilots I've seen of that kind in a very long time. I loved everything about this premiere. I thought this was an incredible start and such a great way of just keeping things hidden, I have to say, because we basically think this show is going to be a show about 3 different stories, and then we see by the end of this episode that that's not the case. Well, we'll get into that. I'm definitely going to get into that, but let's get into this first episode, which, guys, I was planning on reviewing just the season of the show. After this first episode, though, I have to review every episode, and I'm going to talk about why, but let's just get right into it. So we actually start off with seeing this this little fact that according to Wikipedia, the average human being shares his or her birthday with over 18 million other human beings, we find out, and there's no evidence that sharing the same birthday creates any type of behavioral link between these people, and if there is, Wikipedia hasn't discovered it for us yet. Now, let me just say that I don't really know what that means, like what that's really trying to show, and what I mean by that, you guys will know what I mean by that once I get to the end of the episode, because you guys know, obviously, what I want to talk about. But we then meet Mandy Moore and Milo Ventimiglia's character. Sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but she portrays this very heavily pregnant woman carrying triplets named Rebecca, who is performing a seductive dance for her husband Jack, who is celebrating his 36th birthday. I guess this is a tradition that they've done ever since they've gotten married, and the show starts out with a giggle because she's wearing the lingerie over her clothes because none of it actually fits, and Jack tells her tradition is tradition, and she dances, and there's so much that just this first scene says about these two characters. You can tell that Jack is someone who always looks at on the bright side of life, and he doesn't really care what his wife, looks like. He's just that much in love with her, and as soon as she's able to get on the bed, all she wants to do is sleep, but her water ends up breaking. They actually end up rushing her to the hospital, and that is where their part of the story starts. Now, that was interesting, where that went, and right away, I mean, we get so invested in this character, and I think just in these first 5 minutes, they do such a great job getting you into these characters, because we're then introduced to Kate, who, she opens the refrigerator. This is someone who is very heavily overweight, and she opens the refrigerator and finds notes everywhere about what is good and what is bad, which indicates to us that she's struggling with being very, very overweight, and I mean, like, seriously overweight, and the last note she reads is on top of a birthday cake, which reads, "Do not eat this cake before your party, Kate," and she rips off the sticky note only to find another one underneath it saying, "Seriously, what is wrong with you?" So we can tell that obviously she's very much struggling with that, and I think she's really trying to figure out if she actually wants to lose this weight and if she actually wants to commit to that, which I thought was interesting to see. And we then jump from there to the office of Randall, who we find out is also celebrating his 36th birthday, which seemingly this is unconnected. They all seem to just share a 36th birthday. We'll get into that. But his employees then barge into his office singing and carrying a cake, and basically we see, they're carrying a cake and everything, so they're celebrating his 36th birthday. He doesn't seem to be in the best of spirits, which I thought was interesting to see. And we're then introduced to Kevin, who is also looking all depressed, even though he has 2 very attractive women in his bedroom with him. And I just, again, the way they set all this up, the way they get us into these 4 stories, I thought were very interesting. I really love the way that was done, and again, seemingly right now, they're all not connected. I definitely thought it was interesting the way that was going, but basically we go back to Jack and Rebecca, and we see that Jack mentions that he and the babies will share the same birthday, but points out the obvious that it's too soon. She's 6 weeks too early, which is insane that she's 2 weeks too early, and obviously this is definitely of concern because since she's 6 weeks too early, there's 3 babies. He's really worried that things aren't going to go well. But again, because Jack is looking on the positive side, he's thinking of the best side of it. That, okay, maybe this will mean the babies are ready to be born and that maybe this is the time for them to be born and everything. We then meet Dr. Kato, who's played by Gerald McRaney, who I hope we see more of in this show because I really loved his character. He walks in, and Rebecca's freaking out because the regular doctor, Dr. Schneider, appendix just burst, and I guess he's been their doctor for this entire pregnancy, and Dr. K very much lets them know that he's experienced, and then he calms Rebecca down, says he knows all about the triplets and the high-risk pregnancy, and he will take care of her, and they have nothing to worry about. So, basically, they very reluctantly let him take over. They don't really know what to expect necessarily, but they figure that, okay, he's experienced, why not see what he can do. Like I said, though, I really liked what he did in this show. I thought he was definitely an interesting character, and I really like where they went with him. So we then take a little bit of time to introduce some of the other main characters, such as Kate, who, something I forgot to say about her character, she's someone who, she weighs herself and she goes as far as to take off her earrings just so she can, hopefully that she just weighs a few less ounces and that hopefully will make the difference. But I thought that was a very interesting character trait that we see. But then we get back to Kevin's character and basically we see that he announces that he's 36 today and he just sits up on the bed with a drink in his hand, and basically, he's going on and on, he's rambling a lot, and he seems to talk about this whole thing, which I thought was interesting, with, he seems to talk a lot about, what was that he talked about? The Challenger explosion, the Gravity movie. He talks about the Challenger explosion, and he talks about it twice in the episode, and I'll get back to that in a second, but basically, he basically is going on and on about it. He's clearly not happy, and he then gets a call from Kate, who we realize that Kevin and Kate are actually identical twins, and I thought it was interesting to see. And Kevin, he's also turning 36, and he's hiding something, definitely, you can tell. You don't really know exactly what he's hiding, but Kevin receives a call from Kate. She's fallen in the bathroom, and she's really upset because she really wants to be able to lose this weight, and she's asking him, how do we get here? And you can tell that they're both very lost, even though they're very different, in terms of body type and in terms of just the way their careers are going. They're both very lost. She's in the sense that she wants to lose this weight and it's not really working for her, and him in the sense of, we don't really know what he's going through at this point, but she begins talking about her dream life and says that she ate her dream life away, and she's basically telling Kevin to get angry at her, to tell her that she needs to lose the weight, that she needs to be, she needs to be a command or an order rather than just her own willpower. She needs someone to tell her to do so, because right now, her motivation is not her own. And it's a very well done scene. The actress that played Kate, I thought, did an incredible job in this scene, and Kevin's very sensitive, though. He doesn't just want to yell at her. He wants to tell her that she shouldn't get mad at herself, and that, he just doesn't really want to get mad at her. He feels like the best way for her to do it is for her own willpower and for her to do this herself. And I thought it was a very interesting scene, the way that was done, and right away you can tell they have a very good relationship. I really thought it was interesting that we saw, and basically tells her to not get upset at herself and to just keep trying, and that he really does believe in her. So you can tell that Kevin is someone who, while he's upset at himself, he really does care about his sister, and I really like seeing that. So after he leaves, Kate decides to dump her food in the trash. She throws some dog shit on it so she won't eat it, and I thought that definitely, obviously, made a lot of sense. Why'd she do that? Obviously, if there's dog shit on, she's not going to eat it, but we then go back to Randall, who we find out is also celebrating his 36th birthday, and Randall goes to see his kids play soccer. I thought it was kind of a fun scene, seeing him and his wife, and they're watching two different games going on at once, because I guess he has two kids, and he watches one, she watches the other, then they switch. I thought that was kind of funny. But he's talking to who we can assume is his wife, or his ex-wife, and he tells her that he has found his father, but he doesn't want to meet him because of all the bad things he has learned about his dad. Apparently his dad was an alcoholic, and he abandoned him, and we don't really know if he's actually ready to go on this quest, and if he is ready to meet his father, which I thought was interesting to see. So that definitely was a very interesting story that we got into. But then we go back to Kevin, who we find out is an actor who basically is on this really terrible show called The Manny. It's pretty much every bad sitcom show you can think of. This is a show where he's saying these ridiculous lines and he's playing this ridiculous cliched character, and he really does want to do something good with the character. He's just really dumb, and when he cuts the scene, he speaks to the producers. He really wants to do something more with the character. He doesn't want this character to be ridiculous. He doesn't understand the character. He cares about the character, but he doesn't really understand the character. They are basically more focused on his attraction or sexual appeal to the audience or even just getting a laugh. They're not really focused on emotion, and he actually does want something genuine in this, and he says that Ryan Gosling would never do this. The producer agrees, and we're really wondering, is Kevin really happy with what he's doing? We can't really tell, and I thought that was interesting that we saw, especially, like I said, when Kevin, is trying to help Kate, we can tell that he's pretty much going through kind of the exact same thing of him wondering, do I really want to do this show? Is this really where I'm going in my life, or is there more for me? I thought it was definitely interesting we saw that. So, Kate attends the support group for overweight or obese people. There was an interesting scene here. We see that there's this man who is joking about being overweight and things like that, and this man chats up with her briefly, and she says that she can't have a fat friend. She just feels it's not a good thing for her, and he tells her then he needs to lose the weight. She smiles, and we can tell that he really does care about her. He really does want to help her, and they're basically in this together, and maybe he could be her motivation. This guy Toby, I really liked his character overall. I thought it was a lot of fun this episode, and I'm hoping we see more of that relationship, because we can tell that he really does like her and that he really does want her to lose this weight. He's not nearly as overweight as her, but he definitely is supporting her, and he definitely does want to help her get through this. So I'm wondering, is he possibly going to be her motivation? We'll have to see. What I thought that was a very good start to seeing, what's going to happen with her character. So we go back to Rebecca and Jack, and Dr. K enters the labor and delivery room. He's about to share the news with Rebecca and Jack, but he doesn't want to hear it. Jack just wants to stay positive. He doesn't want anything to interfere with that positivity, and Rebecca says that they need to listen, because obviously something's up. They don't know what it is, but something's going on, and Jack cuts him off and says he's leaving the hospital with his wife and 3 babies, and Dr. K doesn't finish what he's saying. So we don't know what exactly it is, what the complications are here, what's going to happen with the babies and everything, so we don't really know what's going on there. I thought that definitely was interesting. But Randall, we then see, he said that he was done searching for his father, and after learning he was an alcoholic and abandoned him, he actually lied. He bangs on the door, and the man opens it, and Randall goes on this whole thing where he says that he's his biological son, and he talks about 36 years ago he left him at the front door of a fire station, and he says he's not here because he wants things from him. He was raised by 2 incredible parents. He has a lights-out family of his own, and that car that he parked right in front of his house cost 143, I believe he said, billion dollars, and he bought it in cash, and he bought it for cash because he felt like it and because he can do stuff like that. And he turned out pretty alright, which might surprise a lot of folks considering that 36 years ago his life started with him leaving him out on a fire station doorstep with nothing more than a raggedy blanket and a crap-filled diaper. And Randall pauses before he continues, and he says he came here today so he could look him in the eye and say that to him, and then get back in his fancy-ass car to finally prove himself and to him, to his family who loves him, that he didn't need a thing from him, and that he is who he is today because of his family. And it was just such a great scene. Sterling K. Brown just on this scene. It's great to see him back on TV. I'll talk about him when we get to the acting, but after his rants and everything, his father asks him if he wants to come in, and he actually does, and I love it. He's just like, you want to come in? He's like, sure, yeah, and I thought that was very funny. So Randall continues to feel just tons of anger. Obviously, this is the man that abandoned him, so he's really pissed at him and definitely is really angry, but he kind of starts to feel a little bit of sympathy for his father. His dad explains that he doesn't remember that day, but he's clean now, and it's honestly kind of a sad story that we saw. He also says that the life he's living now is punishment enough. It's a whirlwind, with these two, and Randall tells him, he says that he knows he's just there to say screw you, and that's essentially what Randall does, but then he comes back in and asks if he would like to meet his grandchildren, because he doesn't just want to leave in a huff, he doesn't just want to leave in the sense where you can tell that his dad is upset. He can tell this is a man that clearly doesn't remember any of this, and it's someone who does feel bad, but he can't ever go back. It's honestly a very sad story, but he brings his biological father home. His wife isn't sure what to think, and by the way Randall is acting, she thinks that he may be in the middle of a nervous breakdown because it seems like, I guess, he has a lot of these breakdowns, and he says it sounds like something that would be happening on the Manny or what's happening. And before he leaves, he tells Randall that he's dying, that he is no longer just sick, he is beyond that point, and the question is, how's this really going to affect Randall? And I don't really know if he's actually dying. I mean, if you think about it, Randall has a much better life than he does, so I don't know if he actually is, in fact, if William is actually dying, or if he's just saying this because he is kind of jealous of Randall's life and he wants to let himself back into his son's life. So we'll have to see where that goes, but I thought that definitely was interesting, if William is actually dying, but we'll have to see. So we then see Alan Thicke, who apparently is making a guest appearance on The Manny, portraying Kevin's father on the TV show he acts in, and Kevin is thrilled with the scene because it's actually really dramatic. He pulls it off in this really dramatic way where he tells his father to get out, but the producer and writers, the audience is really encapsulated by the scene. They think it's incredible and everything, but the producer and writers are telling him to take his shirt off and get back to being the Manny that's supposed to be funny, and this is where Kevin finally loses it because he actually felt content with that scene. He actually felt like, okay, something went right. I can actually do this. I do actually have the chops to do this character. But then he loses control, realizing that he's just a sex symbol for this show and that he's not much else than that. That's all he really is. And he loses control. He has a complete meltdown on live TV, yelling at the fans. And it's this great scene where he talks about how he actually wants real emotion. And it really, I think, is a great social commentary, I think, on how TV is nowadays with sitcoms. I mean, so many shows nowadays are so focused on male sex appeal than they are on actual real raw emotion, and that's something that Kevin does want. Kevin wants this real emotion, but, they don't want him to do that real emotion. He has the chops, definitely, but for some reason, they want him to conceal it rather than express it, and he has complete meltdown live TV, saying it's the audience's fault, saying that they're the reason why, showing them that everything is fake, that the baby's fake, the briefcase is fake, nothing about the show feels real, and he ends up leaving the studio because he just can't do this anymore. He's been doing it for far too long, everything is too manufactured for him, he doesn't want to keep living this manufactured life. He wants something real, and the only thing that feels real is something that doesn't involve this show. I thought it was an incredible scene. I thought Justin Hartley really did kill that scene that he was in. And again, is like I said, a fantastic social commentary on really everything that had, a great social commentary on the way TV is done nowadays. Thought that was very well handled. Really love that scene overall, and really just gets us to like Kevin's character even more. So on the date with Toby, even after she said she told him that she couldn't have a fat friend, and they actually have a great time in dinner. Toby comes in for a recap a little bit. I thought it was kind of funny the way he was talking about Sally Field and now he's attracted to her. And Toby comes in for a recap, and we see that he wants to go in. He's not going to let her leave without some sort of sexual favors. I thought that was kind of funny. But Kevin ends up interrupting them in a huff, and he tells his sister that she would have been proud of him for doing what he did. And basically, I think, trying to say that he's her motivation, that if he can walk out of a job and he can get all upset and quit, then she can lose the weight. And I think that he's really going to be her motivation. I like the way that's going. The three of them start drinking, and we can tell that Kevin is kind of upset, obviously, at what's going on. We'll get into that in a second, but Rebecca's in labor. She delivers the first baby, a boy. Rebecca cries that something isn't right. The doctors rush her into surgery. Obviously, we knew something was up, leaving Jack on the outside looking in, and we get this great scene with Dr. K that I absolutely loved, and really makes me hope that Dr. K is in the show more, because I really love what he did in the show. But he comes out to tell Jack how everything turned out, and that they need to monitor Rebecca, and that they have a healthy baby boy and a girl, but the third baby unfortunately didn't survive. She had a miscarriage, and he was stillborn. There was no way to save him. And Jack, obviously, this is someone, Jack's someone who has ounces of positivity and always looks on the bright side. For him to actually get really upset and actually want to go visit his wife and feeling like this is it, I love this scene with Dr. K, because Dr. K tells him about how he lost his wife to, I believe, cancer a couple months ago, and how it took him a while to get over it, and how he feels that Jack will be in that same position. He kind of says that he hopes Jack becomes a doctor, so I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's foreshadowing something with Jack, that maybe he will become a doctor, but the doctor tells him that she needs to rest, and that he should go meet his babies because they want to meet their father, and that they have a good one, and that no matter what happens, Jack is a good father. You know, he will be a good father, and that it doesn't mean that he wasn't a good father, it just means that it wasn't meant to be, and I thought that was a very well done scene. I really love the way that scene was done, and I just thought that that courage that he had, and the the courage, and just the motivation that Dr. K gave him, I thought was fantastic. I love that scene, and I thought they did an incredible job with that. I definitely really liked the way that scene was done. Really good stuff there. So basically, we then see back to Kevin. We see, with Kevin and Kate. Basically, here we go, the stuff that I know you guys definitely want me to talk about, because it's definitely coming up. We see, like I said, Jack breaks down, and Kate and Toby then go on a date, and like I said, she's laughing at everything he says. So, Toby's actually a huge fan of the Manny, we find out, and they're all sitting, they're watching the video of his meltdown. Kevin wonders, though, in the scene, and probably one of my favorite scenes of the episode, he starts to wonder if he's actually good enough for anything else, if the Manny is the only thing he's good at, and Kate brings up Broadway, but Kevin talks about how he can't sing, and then Toby casually brings up porn, and Kevin says maybe, and he starts to wonder if he actually does have the chops. Is there actually a version of his life where he can do something that's better than the Manny? Is there such a comeback for him? Can he actually do that? And I thought it was just such a great scene. I love the way that was done, and very realistic as well, because there are so many actors who are on a show, and they can do better, but I think it's a very realistic portrayal of what an actor does when they know they're on something that's really shitty, and when they're on something that they don't like, and when they can't say no. And Kevin's not sure if he is better than the Manny, and if he really can achieve the acclaim he really wants, because he wants to be taken seriously. He wants to be a serious actor, but he doesn't know if he actually has the chops for it. And I really love the way that scene was done. I thought that was incredible overall. But now we're going to get to the stuff I know you guys want me to talk about, so let's just get right into it. So as Kate and Kevin are talking, we see Kate talks about something that their father used to say, and then we cut to Jack, who looks at the babies, basically, and he goes to meet the babies, and he then sees this man who's next to him, and he asks which baby is his, and the man says that none of them. The strangest thing is that someone left a newborn at his fire station, and he didn't know what to do, so he brought him here, and he points to a newborn who is in fact black like Randall is, and basically the baby does look like Randall, and we basically see Jack tell Rebecca what happened. But when the music for the end of the episode starts, we see Jack and Rebecca hold hands as they lay all three of their babies down in their bassinets. They have taken the abandoned child home, and yes, not only is Kate and Kevin related, they are Jack and Rebecca are their parents, and Randall is their adopted brother. We see a picture where they're all together, and that is the way the episode ends. Such a good twist overall, and it really, I think, just shows what the show is really trying to do. And let's just get into this overall, because what a great reveal, what a great premiere overall, and I really do want to talk about where I think we're headed from here. So really, guys, this premiere really shocked me, I have to say. I mean, I really thought this was going to be something where it was going to be 3 different stories, and as we saw, that's not the case. It is, in fact, a family drama, a la, say, like Parenthood, or something like, something like Parenthood is the best way I can compare it to, and I really like that the show is doing that. The fact that we're able to keep this twist hidden, I really don't know how they were able to do that, especially now when you have the internet and there's so much theories and speculation out there. How no one was able to guess this or reveal this, or how they were able to keep this so secretive, I have no idea, but somehow they did it, and there's so much great stuff in the show. But let's just jump right into the cast, because I really do want to talk about everyone in this show. First of all, Milo Ventimiglia and Mandy Moore, I think were both really great in this episode. Mandy Moore didn't have a ton to do, but Milo Ventimiglia, he was fantastic. I mean, I've seen him in other stuff before, but he really did a great job as this character of Jack. like I said, this is someone who is so built on positivity and looks at everything the best way possible, and just seeing him have that hope throughout the show and seeing his character, I already really like where his character is headed. I think he's going to be a very interesting character overall, and I can't wait to see more of their story, because it really does seem like from here on out that it's not just going to be where we go from them adopting, the babies and everything. We're going to see them in the past. We're going to see some flashbacks, and we're going to see how they met, or how they got married, how Rebecca got pregnant or something like that, because it looks like from the promo that they have very different hairstyles. So I'm thinking that we're going to see them in different decades, not just 1979, but we'll have to see where that goes. I really love their story overall. Definitely can't wait to see where their stories head overall. Chrissy Metz is someone who I didn't know before this premiere, but I really wish I did, because she really is fantastic. She's one of those actresses that looks like someone. She looks like Melissa McCarthy, but she's not Melissa McCarthy, and I really think she did an incredible job in this episode. What I love about Kate's character is just the hope that she doesn't really have right now. She needs some sort of motivation in her life. She needs someone, she needs some sort of hope, and I think Kevin is going to be said motivation. And like I said, if Kevin can walk out of his job, I think that's going to give her the hope that she can lose this weight. The question is, does Kate actually want to lose this weight? Is this something she actually is willing to commit to? Or is this just kind of a side thing that she knows that she's not actually going to do? That is a question that she really does need to ask herself. I think it's really going to be something that we're going to focus on throughout the course of the show, and I can't wait to see the way that goes. And Justin Hartley as Kevin definitely was one of the standouts in this episode by far. I think everyone really was a standout, but I think he did an incredible job. I loved his character overall. I love the fact he wants to be taken seriously as an actor, but is there a version of his life where that exists? Can he actually be taken seriously? Is there other projects for him? I mean, we see in the promo that this producer tells him that he's going to bankrupt the show, and I guess all the money's going to go to him or something, but we'll have to see what happens with that. I can't wait to see where his character is headed, and I really love their relationship overall. Right off the bat, I thought they worked very well together, and I can't wait to see where they end up going, because I thought they were great. And Sterling K. Brown as well, their brother Randall. I can't wait to see the first scene these three have together. The fact they were able to keep their relationship so secret is just unfathomable. I can't believe they were able to keep it so hidden and so secret. It's honestly remarkable the way how great this twist was done, and there are so many sprinkles of stuff throughout the show. I watched the premiere twice, let me tell you, and there definitely are some things I'm definitely interested in seeing. Like, why is Kevin so fixated on the Colonial? Why is he so focused on that day? Was the significance of something that happened? I don't think it's just that the space crash happened. I think there's definitely more to it than that, but we'll have to see what happens there. I think that's definitely going to be very interesting. But something else I really love about the show is that every character, no matter who they are or what they do, left some kind of an impression on me. And I'm not just talking about, like, the family. I'm talking about characters like, say, Toby, Kate's love interest, William, Randall's father, even the doctor. The doctor left an impression on me. And that's something I think they did a very good job with. This is a show that you immediately care about all the characters. I can't wait to see where they're going to go. And I'm already in love with this family. I really have fallen in love with them overall, and I can't wait to see where they end up going. Honestly, I think they're the next great TV family, and I can't wait to see where the show is going to go from here, because they didn't really tell us in the promo. I mean, obviously they showed how this is going to go, but is it going to go where we're going to see more flashbacks, or how is it really going to go? We don't really know, and I like that uncertainty, and I think that uncertainty is really going to propel the rest of the season forward, but we'll have to see what happens with that throughout the course of the show. I really love the way that was done. I think the writing in the show is just fantastic. I really did love the writing overall. Dan Fogelman, it is great to see him back, having another great show on TV. Very happy he's doing this. I'm sure Pitch is really good as well, but this show, I thought the writing of the show was just so fantastic and very realistic as well. I really thought it was a very realistic show. And really, I think it has this great message, so far at least, of when you least expect it, hope does help you along the way. And that, if you have that hope, that eventually something good comes along, in the sense of either, Jack and Rebecca with them adopting Randall, or Kate and her and Kevin, or Kevin quitting his job. Everyone really does have some hope along the way. And I really do love seeing that. And I think the way the show is done, the fact they were able to keep 1979 hidden, now you can really tell why. I mean, yeah, their hairstyle does look like 1979, and honestly, if you look back at the scenes from 1979 and the scenes from the present day, at first they look very much the same, but then it looks like now that we know it's 1979, that it's going to look slightly different. And I think the way the flashbacks look, you very much feel like it's 1979. It feels like you're in that time period. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they end up doing with that, because that's going to be very interesting. I think the score he was great. The song at the end, obviously, I loved. I know everyone said it gets in your head, and yeah, it really did get into my head. And I think that the editing in the show I thought was fine as well. I thought, like I said, every story was so interesting. There wasn't one story that I wasn't into, and something I really did love about the show is that it's not overstuffed. I really thought this was going to be an overstuffed show with too much going on, but now that we know it's one family, that everything is connected, now it really does make sense why the show was done the way it was, because it was very subtle the way we got into all these stories. We seemingly just dropped into these three stories, but everyone it seemed to seemed to be 36, and now we know why, obviously, because they were all born on the same day, and obviously not just they were born the same day, but that they're also related, and I thought that was a very well done way they did that. I really enjoyed that overall, and I can't wait to see the way the rest of the show is going to play out. Overall, guys, I absolutely love this premiere. I think it's going to be one of the most successful shows, not just the fall season, but I think of NBC in general. It's going to be one of the most successful shows they've had in a while. I can't wait to see the way the rest of the show is going to unfold. Let me know what you guys thought of this premiere overall. I absolutely loved everything about this. I thought it was incredible overall. I love the cast. I love the premise, and I can't wait to see the rest of this. Like I said, I was going to review just the season, but now after this, I feel like I have to review every episode just because I'm that more interested in what's going to happen. But let me know what you guys saw of this premiere. Love to hear your thoughts on it. That's in my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.